Edinburgh. His Majesty the Sultan receives a written message from the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, handed over to His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Said. And the European Union says Iran nuclear deal participants to continue talks next week. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of condolences to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom of the Great Britain and Northern Ireland, head of the Commonwealth, on the death of her husband, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. In the cabal, His Majesty the Sultan expressed his sincere condolences to Her Majesty the Queen, her family, and to the friendly British people. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq received a written message from His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa, Prime Minister of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. The message was handed over to His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Said, Deputy Prime Minister for International Relations and Cooperation Affairs and Special Representative of His Majesty the Sultan. When His Highness received in his office His Excellency Ajith Nivard Cabral, State Minister of Finance, Capital Markets and State Enterprises Reform of Sri Lanka. During the meeting, cordial talks were exchanged and the good bilateral relations between the two friendly countries were reviewed and ways to support and develop them in various fields. The meeting was attended by Their Excellencies, the Secretary General and the two advisors in the office of His Highness and His Excellency Umar Libi Amir Jud, Ambassador of Sri Lanka accredited to the Sultanate. Buckingham Palace said Prince Philip, the irascible and tough-minded husband of Queen Elizabeth II, has died. He was 99. He spent more than 7 decades supporting his wife in a role that both defined and constructed his life. His life spanned nearly a century of European history, starting with his birth as a member of the Greek royal family and ending as Britain's longest-serving consort during a turbulent reign in which the thousands-year-old monarchy was forced to reinvent itself for the 21st century. He was known for his occasionally open remarks and for gamely fulfilling more than 20,000 royal engagements to boost British interest at home and abroad. The College of Arms said Prince Philip will not have a state funeral nor lie in state for the public to pay their respects ahead of the funeral, with arrangements revised to meet COVID restrictions. The European Union said today that officials from Iran, China, Russia, France, Germany and Britain will continue talks on the return of the United States to the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran next week after constructive exchanges this week. Meanwhile, Iran plans to verify whether the U.S. is actually lifting sanctions through oil exports and via international banking transactions. The team has been holding talks in Vienna with representatives of other parties to a 2015 nuclear accord on how to reintegrate Washington into the deal and to end crippling sanctions and Iran's countermeasure. U.S. President Joe Biden has said he is ready to reverse the 2018 decisions of his predecessor Donald Trump to withdraw from the agreement and reimpose unilateral sanctions. Trump blacklisted dozens of Iranian entities in addition to blocking Iran's oil exports and virtually all banking ties sanctions that had been lifted in 2016 under the accord curbing its nuclear program. The U.S. yesterday, it was increasingly concerned over Russian militarization along Ukraine's border as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky traveled to the eastern front line. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said in Washington that the number of Russian troops at the border with the former Soviet Republic is now greater than at any time since 2014, when war in eastern Ukraine first broke out and Russia seized the Crimea region. Psaki's comments came after the Ukrainian president visited the eastern front line, where fighting between the Ukrainian army and Russian-backed separatists has intensified in recent weeks. The long-running conflict in Ukraine's mainly Russian-speaking east has claimed more than 13,000 lives since 2014.
NATO allies, so that's another part of the conversations that is ongoing.
A South Korean oil tanker held for months by Iran amid a dispute over billions of dollars held in Seoul has been freed. It happened early today ahead of further talks between Tehran and the world power over its tattered nuclear deal. South Korea's foreign ministry said Iran released the MT Hankuk Kemi and its captain after seizing the vessel in January. The Biden administration told Congress on Wednesday it plans to restart aid to the Palestinians, including $150 million through the United Nations Relief Agency, UNRWA, $75 million for economic support, and $10 million for development assistance. The administration also said Washington would resume security assistance to the Palestinians. President Joe Biden is moving to restore some U.S. aid cut off by his predecessor, Donald Trump. On coronavirus, the novel coronavirus has killed more than 2.9 million people since the outbreak emerged in China in December 2019. At least 133.9 million cases of coronavirus have been registered. Yesterday, 13,619 new deaths and 799,649 new cases were recorded worldwide. The United States is the worst affected country with 560,115 deaths from more than 31 million cases. After the U.S., the hardest hit countries are Brazil with 345,025 deaths, Mexico with 206,146, India 167,642, and the United Kingdom 126,980 deaths. Europe's overall has 988,416 deaths, Latin America and the Caribbean 817,239, Asia 281,586, the Middle East 117,418, and Africa 114,924 days. You are engaged with the Sultanate of Oman television. Still to come, Wadi Tiwi and Wadi Shab in the Wilaya of Sur, the Governorate South Sharqiya, attracts visitors with new tourist attractions, kayaking. Once again, welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Oman Flour Mills Company received the first batch of Omani wheat harvested this season within the project of investing in locally grown wheat to produce wheat flour, which is intended to be available in the markets in the coming weeks. More details following in this particular report.
To support Omani farmers and enable them enter the market of food products, through the first project for producing wheat flour from 100% Omani wheat in the history of food industry in the Sultanate, Oman Flour Mills Company received in its factory in the Wilaya of Matrah the first batch of Omani wheat harvested this season by Omani farmers. This comes as an extension of the efforts of Oman Flour Mills Company to invest in the national product of wheat, to produce wheat flour and make it available in the market in the coming weeks. 44 farms took part in this project, with a production capacity of 775 tons of wheat from all governorates of the Sultanate. Oman Flour Mills Company purchased the wheat produced during the current harvest season, which usually starts from mid-March until the end of April every year.
Hopefully by this upcoming weeks, we're going to use the Omani wheat for the first time in our history in Oman Flour Mill. We're going to take from 44 different farmers in all around Oman, with a total of 830 metric ton to be used in our facility to produce the Omani Bar flour.
The initiative came in light of Oman Vision 2040 to empower Omani projects and encourage investment in agriculture to attain self-sufficiency in the food industry, accelerate economic development by supporting national agriculture, and care for the agricultural heritage, which is a historical tradition for the Omani society that has used agriculture as a source for providing food over the ages. Salih Bukhalfan al-Rahbi, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
Oman oil price June delivery declined today by 24 cents to reach $61.7 per barrel. The monthly average price for Oman crude oil April delivery reached $60.85 per barrel, $6.60 higher than March delivery. And now let's move to the Wilayat of Sinina. In the Buremi Governorate excels in breeding sheep, with many successful breeders working in the field to supply the local markets with a variety of products. Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources has extended its supports to local farmers and breeders by helping stakeholders develop their livestock and promote high-quality breeds. Mazoon Dairy Company is among the successful projects in Oman. The company has expanded its line of products to include milk, cheese, fruit juice, with many other products being developed to meet the local needs and contribute to the food security in the country. And now to Wadi Tiwi. Passionate Omani youth in Wadi Tiwi and Wadi Shab in the Wilayah of Sura in the Governorate of South Sharqiya rendered a kayaking projects to allow visitors enjoy a smooth sailing in the water canals in both wadis. The following reports sheds light on this amazing project. Let's have a look at it.
Tiwi in the Wilayah of Sur in South Sharqiya Governorate is renowned for its abundant scenic attractions, including the beautiful beaches, valleys, and mountains. These natural elements have stolen the hearts of its visitors. Nasr al-Shabani, an ambitious Omani youth from Tiwi, has chosen the 26th of October, the Omani Youth Day, to commence his kayaking project, emphasizing the role of the youth in investing in touristic places and providing entertainment activities for the tourists.
As local people, we are trying to develop this wadi by providing some service for tourists, especially families, to enjoy this place. The place is safe, and we're providing all safety equipments for visitors in this wadi. People enjoy their time here, and that's actually give me support to continue to this.
Paddling the kayak amidst the scenic views of Wadi Shab is certainly a remarkable experience to enjoy the glamour of the place.
With the endeavor of the Omani youth, the kayaking service has added further charms to Tiwi, giving its visitors a chance to discover the stunning natural attractions in the area.
I tried kayaking before and I liked the idea, so I decided to start this business here to attract more visitors to this beautiful place.
It's absolutely beautiful. I've come here before with friends, and when we came, it's actually perfect timing. I mean, when you come here in kayak, I have to say, all you hear is birds chirping, and you're in nature, and the only sounds just are coming from the birds, and it is so peaceful. I like to say it's a very tranquil time kayaking here. I would recommend anybody from anywhere, even from Oman. I mean, even locals and expats and people that are visiting, because of course everyone knows about Wadi Shab, but this is a nice thing because first it's a new business, and also, I mean, just looking around all of here, it's so beautiful, and it's so relaxing and calming. So I think if anybody likes kayaking or they want to try kayaking, this is a great place to come.
In addition to serving visitors and families to enjoy the beauty of Wadi Shab and Wadi Tiwi, the kayak project seeks to sustain Omani heritage and enhance the economic value of touristic destinations. صالح بن خلفان الرحبي, ولاية of Sur, South الشرقية Governorate.
Thank you, Saleh. There. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of condolences to Her Majesty the Queen of Britain on the death of her husband, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. His Majesty the Sultan receives a written message from the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka handed over to His Highness Sayyid As'ad bin Tariq Al Saeed. And the European Union says Iran nuclear deal participants to continue talks next week. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin. Individually and collectively, let's all stick to the precautionary measures to prevent the coronavirus. Good night.